Hey real gamers, Retro Rob here, and it's time for the return of the RS-07, which is this tiny little arcade here. One of the big problems I had on the initial review of it was the firmware was horrible, so I hear Retro Firmware 2.0's out. Jerison told me that, who works on the firmware. So we are going to try it out and see if it improves living with this device. That means I'm going to need a screwdriver and definitely my glasses. Let's geek out, folks.
Retro Rob plays everything.
First things first, let's get the bottom screws out of here. Where are they? I forget every time. There you go. Be careful of these two here. If you do accidentally break them loose, here, these little ribbon cables, they can be reattached. They're usually pretty easy to just put right back in there. There's a little, there's a little lever right here. If you do happen to pop it up, just pop this back in and lower the lever. And then test it. If everything doesn't work, try it again. There's the card we need. We're going to pull that right out of here. One thing that I definitely should have mentioned at this point is that you should not be using your original micro SD card that was built into the RS-07 for this project. If you have the original one, just take that one out and set it aside and keep it somewhere safe. That way if something goes wrong during this process, you haven't lost your original image. You always want to be able to go back to it. So use a new, fresh SD card, unless of course you've already replaced it like I did. Wait. Yours may have some kind of rubber cover on this. Just peel it up if you have that. And here's mine. This is a replacement one that I've already put in. This little card here. That it's totally not locking onto. Come on, you. There we go. But yours will probably be different. Alright. This is what I needed out of here. Let's go hook this up to a computer. Alright, so remember when I mentioned that there will be some pop-ups?
He didn't.
These are they. Just ignore these. X these out. And we will not worry about that. First thing we're going to need is Etcher right here. So Balena.io/Etcher. You could use any image writer you want. This is my favorite. I tend to use multiple platforms. So like I'm a Linux, Mac, and Windows guy. So I like to use the same software across platforms, and this is one that is available on all three platforms. So whether you're using a Mac, Linux, whatever. Yeah. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, let's download this now and install it. Depending on your browser, this might look a little bit different. So we're just going to real quick show the download folder here. And we'll refresh. There we go. And there's Etcher. I'm going to double click on that. The screen might disappear for you depending on its mood. Not yet. But eventually. No, maybe it won't. Alright. Okay, Etcher is now installed. There it is. Next thing we will need to do is go find our firmware. And where we're going to go for that is right here. GitHub/Retro Firmware or RetroFW/firmware/wiki, and I'm just going to install firmware. If there's future releases, they'll show up here, so this way this will work for you. Hopefully in the far future, or not so far future, if new releases come out. So anyway, right here is the release page, and looking down here for the Retro Arcade Mini, we need type 4B. If you have a Mini, that's what you're going to use. So there we go. We know we need 4B, and then there's a little link up here for the release page. And there we go. We say 4B. Alright, so we're going to download that. Next thing we're going to need, yeah, there's Jerison. We're going to want this starter pack right here. and we're going to need that after we're done with this, so I'll show you that shortly. Alright, we now have our Retro Firmware downloaded. Refresh. There we go. I'm going to right click. I'm going to extract all. I have WinRAR, but I'm not going to use this in this case. I want to make sure that anybody who watches this has the software required to do it, and everybody should be able to do it that way. And there it is, the Retro Firmware. So, I've already got my mass storage device in here. Let me make sure. Yep, we're okay. It'll confirm this in a minute. Let me select image, and we'll go to downloads, and we'll go here, temp, Retro Firmware. All right, make absolutely sure right here that you have the right drive. You do not want to make a mistake. So just be really careful here. You can take a look at it and hit change if you're worried about it. This is the only USB drive I have plugged in right now, so that's okay. In fact, you might want to unplug all of your other USB storage devices when you're doing this, just to make sure. Anyway, be 100% sure is what I'm saying. All right, we're gonna hit flash. And now I think I disappeared for a second, but should be back now. And it's going to go through the process of writing the new SD. In the past, I used to use a piece of software for bumping out the partition, but that's no longer needed. This will automatically bump the partition to the right size the first time I run the new image. So we should be okay on that front, which is good. Makes it much easier. Please note, if you get any alerts to format disk like this, just X out of it. It might complain, but you do not want to format that disk. All right, enough of that. I'll be right back. Alright, so the flash just completed, and notice that I've got all these little pop-ups all over the place. Need to format disk. Oh no, just X out of all that. You really do not want to accidentally format that disk. That would be really, really bad. Alright, flash is complete. Let's go put it in and take a look. First time power up. Hitting the power button now. There we go, Retro Firmware version 2. There it is, expanding the partition. I don't know if you can see that. Here, I'm going to turn this light down a little bit and just see if I zoom in. See if you can maybe catch a little bit of that. And turn this one down just a little bit too. There we go. Much nicer. Restoring default area. This may take several minutes. Well, we'll just halt here until it gets done, okay?
Warning, radiation at unsafe levels.
And there we go. This is the menu with absolutely nothing installed yet. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how to get some games and emulators on there. As my good friend Tony used to say, there's more than one way to f a cat. Why he said that, I don't know. But there's more than one way to get games onto the system. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do it. My favorite way is to keep all of the programs that execute, like the emulators, the games, on the system itself, and then have all the ROMs on an external SD card. You can do it however you want, but the way I do it makes it so that I can swap that card between different game systems and keep the same set of ROMs. That way I'm not wasting a whole bunch of SDs. But do it however you want. Let's start with way 1. Alright, let's get something on here. I'm going to start with just MAME real quick, and what I've got is I've got another micro SD card that I'm going to use for the external, and I'm just going to plug that into my PC. This one's formatted FAT16. It's just a 16 gig. It's my little tester one, but you can use much bigger. My understanding is now it can read exFAT, so you can go pretty darn big with these things if you want. I limit mine to my old arcade stuff. Since it's a little mini arcade anyway, I don't bother with a lot of different emulation, although I noticed that this thing might be able to do some Vectrex, so I might demo that later as well. But anyway, there's my little drive that I'm going to use, and I am at GitHub, Retro Firmware release, and then pound resources, and of course I'll link that down. But anyway, this is where all the apps are. Note that there's some pre-made app packs as well. Right here, some starter packs that have a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm probably going to do this one too. But anyway, I am looking for, where are you? MAME. There we go. MAME for all. I'm going to click on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to download the IPK file. All right. And see, I've done that in the past. And we're going to open that folder. And now we have the IPK. I'm going to drag this over. While I'm at it, I'm just going to real quick make a ROMs folder. Again, I will probably move all this to the internal drive eventually because I kind of like mine to be an all-in-one. But I'm just doing this because it's easier. Easier for you to deal with. At least that's what I think. Okay, so I do have a little ROM area here. Where's my games drive? And videos. And somewhere in here. Look at all that junk. Alright, ROMs. And there's my MAME ROMs. So I'm just going to put my MAME ROMs below here. Okay, and once that finishes copying, what I will do is put this into the external SD card or SD reader of my little micro arcade. I'll show you that in just a second. We won't wait for this. Oh, don't fight me. Get in there. Get in there. Got in there. Okay, so now that we are powered up, we are going to use the good old Explorer. Note that if you don't have this page and you start out here, you can just hit L or R to switch pages. And now I'm going to hit A to go in the Explorer. Yay. Alright, now I need to go up, Media. And there is my MAME for all. Now I'm going to click on it. And now it's installing it onto root. Basically what it's done is installed MAME for all inside my device onto the SD card that I have inside. Alright, looks like we're good. Gonna hit B. And now you can see I have a new section up here and I have MAME for all. So I'm going to hit A. And no available games found. Press a key to select a ROM directory. I absolutely love that I can change this now. So I'm going to go way up. And note, what you could do is you could just install everything to the internal drive. In this case, I'm going to go on to Media, and I'm going to go into this ROM directory that I created. But I could have done whatever. You can put it wherever you want, really. And we're going to select that directory. And I think I have to do this one. Well, we'll see if it shows up. And here we are on the ROM selection screen. I'm going to scroll down. Try 1943, the Battle of Midway. Note right here is video aspect. If you find that part of the game is off the screen, you can modify this. If you modify it wrong and you end up with a black screen or something, don't worry, you can always just go back and change this. I'll show you that in a minute. And let's just hit start. Whenever it says OK, left and right. And let's put a couple coins in here. Come on. Oops. And as you can see, there we go. We got some 1943 going on. Very nice. So once I'm done playing, I hit the left and right, and then start and select, and boom, I'm back at the selection menu again. And that'll work if the ROM locks up because you set a bad aspect ratio. So you can just hit that and go back, and then the next time you'll get the chance to change the ratio again. That'll work just fine.
Thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, or I will go Skynet on your butt.
Now you know how to install one program into your new Retro Firmware 2.0 system. Well, you don't want to spend all day, do you? I mean, you might be fun to you, but you can get these starter packs here at github/retrofw/firmware/releases/tag/starter pack 2.0. Why I'm reading it, I don't know. I'll put a link down below to it. But anyway, you can pick up these little starter packs that have a whole bunch of easy to install games and different emulation packages for you. And I'm just gonna real quick, I think we're gonna do let's do the ports pack. Let's make it the games pack. I'm gonna tease you a little bit there. Let's do the games pack and download it. I'm gonna show you two ways to set this up, although they involve the same first steps. So basically what we're doing is we're downloading it here to downloads, and I wish that would hurry up. There we go. All right, there's the games pack. I'm gonna double click on it. Bunch of OPKs in here. Here is the root of my games directory. This is the second SD, in other words the external SD. Notice how I've got my ROMs on here. I did add Vectrex to it because I wanted to play Vectrex for a while. We're gonna right click, make a new folder, and I'm just going to call these games, and I'm going to do it lowercase. And let's go back to this, take all these, drag them into that games folder. You can do it however you want. To be fair, I think you can just drag it onto the root of this and it will still work. So, you know, however you really want to do it, but I prefer separating them so I know what I'm dealing with, especially since I do it like, you know, little bits at a time. And we're just gonna wait for it to copy, and I'm gonna talk. Hey, how's it going? You guys having a good day? Comment down below. Tell me how your day was. I want to hear about it. I hope it's good. All right, there we go. Directory has been copied. Now let's pop this out of the computer and put it back into our RS07 Mini Arcade. All right, so I've popped in my SD card, and as you can see, absolutely nothing has happened. How depressing. I'm gonna hit select, and then I'm going to select update OPK links. And there we go. And done. I'm gonna hit exit here. And look at it, I've got a whole new section over here. Let's get over there. Look at that. All my games are installed now. I can play some Mr. Drillix, some Snowman. Gonna have a great time. Alright, so here is something to note. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna pop out this SD card here. Yeah. Come on. That's great. Just fight me. There we go. Look what happened. This section's now empty. All the games are actually being run from this little guy here that you can't see because it's all blurry. But that to me is kind of a problem, because if I change out for another SD card, then you know, I've lost all the games that I've loaded on this one. Doesn't matter if you're not planning to change it out, but it does matter if you are planning to change it out. So how do I fix that? Well, let's get to that. All right, to do this next step, you're going to need to use the commander. That can be installed much like I installed MAME for all here. So just download the IPK file onto your SD card and execute it by going through Explorer and running it. And it will install and it will show up on the menu. All right, let's get out of this thing and let's get into the commander now. All right, so now we're in the commander, and if I move right and left, you can see there's two panes here, and I'm going to go into the first pane and I'm going to go up, up, and to the media. And into the media folder, and right here we have that games folder that I created earlier. Now I'm going to go up on this side, go to home, go to Retro Firmware folder, and there is already a games folder here. If there wasn't, I could just copy this games folder over to here, okay? But since it's already there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that games folder. I'm going to go into this games folder, and I'm going to use the Y command, and then I'm going to select all from the Y key. And I'm going to use X, and you can copy or move it. I am going to move it, but you should probably copy it for the sake of safety. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do. And I'm going to note that on my machine at least, it's odds on that it's going to just stop responding during this process. So, you kind of got to guess this out. Mine never comes out of this, but it does complete the action. So, what I'm going to basically do here is I'm going to wait a few minutes, and then I'm going to reset my machine, because there's no getting out of it when it does this. It might not happen to you though. Alright, first thing I'm going to note is I'm pulling out my TF card now. And then I'm going to turn this thing on. Flip it over and hit that power button. Turn down the lights a little bit so it's not shining so much on the screen, and hopefully we'll give you a little bit clearer. Okay, see how that section's empty? Won't be in a minute. I'm going to update my OPK files and hit B. Actually, yeah, hit B. And there we go. They're here. I can run some Mr. Drillix if I want. Look at that. All's well that ends well. Now, if you're curious, what I did is basically copied it from external memory to internal memory, rescanned it, and then I found it. Other things you could have done. If you're just building this out for the first time, do make sure that you get into the OS the first time so it bumps out the size of your file system. But after that, what you could do is you could pop the internal SD out of this and directly copy those. What? You want me to do it? Okay, let's do that. Please make sure your RetroCade is unplugged and off when you do this. Alright, I'm going to pull this card back out and we're going to put it back in the PC, and we'll do this directly. Alright, this is the internal SD. Third way of getting this stuff on here. Remember, never ever ever hit format disk while you're doing this process. You will wreck yourself. get rid of this one. All right. Notice I've got this games directory, and look at all those OPKs I put in are there. So if I wanted to, I could go back here. And thank goodness I planned this out so well. All right, let's say I want to do the ports pack. We're going to download the ports pack real quick. And what I'm going to do, again, I don't need to do this part. I don't need to make a ports directory. I could just drop it into an existing directory, but I'm not going to. I'm going to make a ports directory. All right. There's my ports pack. Drag it out and put it into ports here. And again, you know, you don't need to use all three of these methods. I mean, use whichever one works for you. But just showing you every way you could get games onto the system. I think this is the fastest way, you know. Well, it definitely is the fastest way for me. And, you know, just dragging programs on here just seems to work a lot better. Okay, so there we go. Got it on there. Let's go pop it back into the Mini Arcade. All right, so the SD card's in there now, and of course nothing new has shown up yet, but we can hit that start button and update. And now it's done. I'm going to hit B. And there we go. We've got some new stuff here. We've got DX1 Rebirth, DX2 Rebirth, we got Eduke. Somewhere in here should be Cave Story. Where are you? Probably up on top. There we go, Cave Story. And here we go, Cave Story. Now let's actually look at some games.
Retro Rob plays everything.
And here we have the Vectrex emulator, which for the record looks a heck of a lot better on the built-in screen than it does being blown up here. I'm running it on the NTSC output, and that of course is composite output. So it's not as clear as it could be while I'm recording it, and it's a little bit distorted for my equipment, but really you get an idea that indeed Vectrex does work. It's a little bit iffy at this moment. It's still kind of new, but not the Vectrex, but of course the emulation of the Vectrex on this platform. But it's neat to play with nonetheless. I'm a big Vectrex fan. I've got the actual console, and it's kind of neat to play it on a little portable. So I'm going to give that a thumbs up, even though it's definitely not perfect yet. Shows lots of promise, though. And here we have 3 wonders for the CPS-1 emulator. This, of course, is an arcade emulator. I'm going to be mostly sticking to arcade other than that Vectrex one. I think it's got a 7800 emulator. I think I've got that installed on here, too. We might just play a game on that real quick, just for fun. Anyway, let's add some quarters to it. And I guess we're doing Midnight Wanderers, which is not the one I wanted, but we'll just live with it. Come on. Die. I really do like 3 Wonders. It's one of the few arcade machines I'd probably pick up if I saw them out in the wild. Just a great little game. I'm going to note that, at least on my recording equipment, the output seems a little bit bright. Again, you can probably adjust it on your TV. Your results may vary. And at least it runs pretty decent on TV output, which is nice. That's a refreshing change. Die. Die. Come on. Ooh, I got a bunch of cards. Get them. I love games where characters just kind of disappear. Did you see that one guy? He just kind of dug into the ground, and then he was gone. Alright, those are some big creatures, but I think I can just, yep, jump right over them. There we go. Die! I like the way they're laughing at you, too. That's kind of cool. Nice little touch. Nice little touch. Alright, we'll finish this boss off. Hopefully. Or he'll finish me off. One of the two. Oh, shoot. Really? I like the way I just jumped right in there. Alright, we'll try one more. One more go through here. Because it looks like he's mostly dead. It's bad timing. I like the way it just kind of puts me right in the middle of there. There we go. Boss defeated. Assuming this was a quarter game, it only cost me 50 cents. What a great deal. Was there ever a home version of this game made? Let me know down in the comments below. Did they ever release this like in a greatest hits thing? I'm thinking not. I don't think it was. Alright, let's go on. And here's some CPS2. And this is Progear. Of course, I like my shooters, so... Die! Oh, I am not doing well. No, no, no. A lot of bullets on this game. And I'm running out of specials, so my luck's about to run out. Yep. Aw, come on. Yeah. I bet this gobbled a lot of quarters back in the day. Because graphically, it's really just super good looking. But man, it's hard to play. Every once in a while, I like go through my, my ROM collections, and I dig this one out and start playing it. And I go, oh yeah, that one. The one that just kicks my butt every time I play it. Oh, come on, really? Let's just try and get this boss. I walked right into it on that one. Horrible. Horrible. Really? There we go. He's dead. Assuming a quarter, that was 75 cents. I really ripped myself off on that one. One more thing I want to show you about the CPS emulators. One thing you can do is you can hit the select button and add a game to your favorites. And what will happen is, let's get out of this thing. you will see a favorite section, a little heart up here. And look at that. Your favorite games now have a shortcut on your menu system. Pretty cool, right? And here we go with Neo Mr. Do for the NeoGeo. This is probably the best version of Mr. Do there is. I don't even, you know what, I'll go out on a limb and say it definitely is the best version of Mr. Do. Absolutely love this. It feels like the original Mr. Do and just is so darn good looking. Just a great looking game. That was a pretty easy round. Let's do one more. There we go. Get those cherries. This, of course, is a very similar game to Dig Dug, but it's great in its own right. Get out of there, Frowny. There are differences between the two. Come on. Oh, landed on me. Ah, well. Let's go on. And here we have QIX on MAME. One of the things I'm really impressed with arcade games on this particular device under the firmware 2 is that games just tend to run, and I expect them to run now, which is much different from the way it was on earlier versions of the firmware, where it's just kind of like good luck, you know? Most of the time, MAME games run on here, at least in my ROM set. Oh, I am not doing great, though. But anyway, yeah, really impressed with this. And, you know, it's really cool playing some of my 80s arcade favorites and even some of the 90s arcade favorites on this device, because it's a little arcade machine. Really cool. And I'm just gonna try and finish this level. I am doing terrible. It's been a while since I've actually played the real QIX. And I forgot how difficult it can be. But man, I used to do large swaths and get away with it. Come on. There we go. Made it through the level. Alright, here's the US version of Gunsmoke running under MAME. And as you can see, it runs really well. I kind of wanted to show you just a game running on the internal screen to show you how much better it tends to look than when you're going through the NTSC output on the device, and how well everything runs. Now, one other thing I want to note is that the controls were not mapped properly when I first got to this game, so I had to edit them. And basically what you do is you hit the start and select button, and the game's going to keep playing. And there's two sections here. Input general. Generally don't use that unless you want to change everything, but input this game, and then I hit B. And then you can scroll down and you can remap all the keys. And you press B to set them, and then whatever key you want to map it to. Then you just return to the main menu and return to the game. And it will save it for the next time you play. So I haven't had to set this since the first time. Really cool. Commando on the Atari 7800. I don't do a lot of console emulation on the RS-07, largely because it's shaped like an arcade machine. So I kind of just stick to arcade games on it. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to have a little bit of Atari stuff on here. So I did grab the 7800 emulator. And it works just fine. So if you're looking for a little taste of 7800, go ahead. Try it out. Then you can say, I've played Atari today. Alright, let's try and make it through this level, which is probably not going to happen here. I don't know if I should pick that up or not. Come on. Die! One of the things with Commando is you really don't want to try to kill everybody. You really just want to run for it and make it... Oh, come on, really? And make it to the end of the level as fast as you can. Because monkeying around will get you dead. They're just going to get reinforcements. There we go. There we go. The arcade of this is awesome. Alright, game over. Yeah, I sucked at that. And here we have Air Zonk on the TurboGrafx 16. One of the best shooters of all time in my opinion, and really just a great game all around. TurboGrafx had a lot of great games. Really died before its time, but you know, those kinds of things happen all the time. Anyway, this particular game gives a lot of TurboGrafx, especially early emulators. It gave a lot of TurboGrafx emulators a really hard time. It would mess up the backgrounds quite a bit. As you can see on here, it's clear and bright. Very easy to play on this particular device. In fact, I like this almost as much as I like playing it on the real TG16. Almost. Not quite. But it's a great emulator, and it runs really well here. At least from the first couple levels I've tested. Come on, you. Ugh, I hate these magnet guys. There we go, let's get this one. There are so many different weapons in this game, it is insane. Alright, boss time. Let's take this guy out. Did I get hit? Huh. Yep. Here, a little backup. This is really, in its time, just like so amazing to see this game. And there we go. TurboGrafx 16. Let's go on. And here's Jazz Jackrabbit, which is from Epic Mega Games. I believe they just call themselves Epic now and make a lot of great games. Thus, Epic Games. Anyway, I'm pretty sure the first time I got this game was on CD. I'm almost sure. I remember getting the shareware version off of one of those giant CDs full of games. I think it was called the CD Vault, the Ruby one. And I saw it at the store, I think on clearance, like a couple years later probably, and thought, oh yeah, I really like the demo of it. I'm going to go get it. So I bought it on clearance. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on CD. Which is funny because it's got a bunch of little floppies here, but oh well. Alright, that's not happening, huh? Oh yeah, it is. We'll just play through the level. Come on, you. If you like platformers, this one's actually a really good one. It was kind of the PC's answer to Sonic the Hedgehog. Oop. There we go. Lots of hidden stuff. Oh, come on. Speech was a big deal then. Digital speech. Back in the day, boy. If a game had digital speech, that was a big deal. And it had been around since the 80s. It's just in the 90s you started seeing it everywhere. Yeah, I don't want to upset the completionists any more than I have to. There we go. So all of you with obsessive compulsive disorders can now rest assured that I at least grabbed all those pickups. I'm not gonna pick them all though. I'm not gonna do them all. It'll take too long. All right. Come on. Oh, don't even hit me. Boy, my heart's in bad shape. It's about half broken. And there we go, end of the level. Let's wrap stuff up. By stuff, I mean this video. So what's the verdict on the Retro Firmware version 2 on the RS-07? Well, honestly, it is a game changer. This thing was fun to play before, but it was just so difficult to deal with that I really didn't play it all that often. And I would put on shows and I'd set like one game on it, I'd come back to it, and people would have just gone to the menu, played around a little bit with it, and just kind of left it locked up. Now, this thing's really fun to play with. So if you have an RS-07 already, I highly recommend that you put the new firmware on there. And if you haven't bought one yet, definitely, if you do buy one, put this firmware on here, because it's going to make the difference between you just thinking it's kind of a neat toy to you actually playing this a lot. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in a couple days. Bye.